Now, earlier in the show, I asked for your calls. Let me know what you're doing. And on the line, I've got John from Basingstoke, a regular caller to the show. John, are you there?
I am indeed, Mark. Good to be speaking to you again. John Ashe. John Ashe with an E from Basingstoke, drinking a glass of water and speaking to somebody who I know. I think I would have to call a friend. Well,
thank you very much, John. So this is our sort of spooky Mark Campbell show here. We've been playing lots of spooky songs, as I'm sure you've been listening. What have you called in today about? Are you a Halloween fan? Are you, John? I seem to remember last year you called in and it was all a bit tricky with the trick and treating.
I've never seen it. No, I'm not very keen on horror movies, I have to say. But I really decided to call in today to talk about this glass of water.
Oh, right.
No, I haven't actually. No, I was just drinking this glass of water, and I said to myself I would drink the glass of water while I was calling in.
Right.
But I wouldn't talk about it, so I confused myself there. Okay. Although actually it is quite an interesting glass. It's a family heirloom, and it goes back, way back really, into the 1940s.
Right.
And was left to me by one of my aunts.
Okay.
And it's very decorative. And so I rather like drinking water from it because, of course, it reminds me not only of my aunt, but my uncle to whom she was married and the wartime they went through.
Right. Okay. So is it a wartime souvenir then? Does it date back? It dates back to the war, I take it then?
It does, to the Second World War, of course, not far back as the First World War, or the Boer War, or any other war, but the Second World War, yes, indeed it does. And so, yes, it conjures up memories. And the strange thing is that here, where we live in Basingstoke, every now and again, you get, one of these sirens goes off, an air raid siren. I don't know what it's to do with.
Wow.
But you only ever hear the all clear.
Oh, right. How strange.
Yes, it's very, very, very odd. So that reminds me as well. And of course, that tends to trigger the thought of getting this glass out and having a glass of water. And that also triggers thoughts about my relatives.
Right. Okay. So basically you're saying the air raid siren goes off, you get yourself a glass of water and you think of your aunt.
Yes, I do. It's remarkable, isn't it?
Wow. Okay.
Not every day, Mark, I have to say. I know it's quite irregular. I don't know when it's going to happen, but when it does happen, I dash to the cupboard.
Right.
Carefully pick up the glass because, of course, it would be devastating.
Yeah.
I would break it.
Well, that's
through the whole process and end up sitting there, usually sitting, and thinking of my aunt, who I held in great regard,
You held her in great regard.
I did.
That's fantastic. I mean, it's funny about the glass, John, because I often thought about this. They're called tumblers, aren't they? And that's the last thing you want a glass to do.
Isn't that strange? Is it to do with the water or whatever it is you have to be drinking tumbling into the glass, perhaps?
Or tumbling into your mouth?
Maybe both. Perhaps we're both right.
Yeah.
I like the idea of being, both and rather than either or.
No, definitely. So, John, you said you weren't going to call up about the glass, so what were you going to call up about?
Right, yes, I wasn't. That's quite right. So what I am calling in about is time, really.
Oh, right.
I find time fascinating, as a scientist. It's a rather fascinating thing. I'm taking time to call you now, and yet nobody can say what time is. Isn't that remarkable?
Yeah, I suppose so. Well, yeah, I suppose you can record the passing of time, can't you? But what it actually is, I suppose, is open to question.
Exactly right. You can record the passing of time, and this is my bugbear of the day, because normally we would say, this is such and such an hour, and then an hour later we would say, it's now such and such an hour, that's plus 1 hour. However, twice a year, we mess around with the clocks and say, we're putting the clocks forward, or we're putting the clocks back. We're messing around, not with time, but the measurement of time, and I think it's quite ridiculous. Nobody knows what's going on. People miss appointments, and they ask each other, do they go forward? Do they go back? And yet time, of course, marches on just as it always does. It's quite ridiculous. So in this household, much to the annoyance of my wife, we don't bother to mess around with the clocks at all. They're always on GMT, which of course is always correct.
Fantastic.
Always correct.
So so the whole of the summer you're living effectively an hour different from everyone else?
Well, no, they're living an hour different from us, because of course we are correct, being on Greenwich Mean Time.
Okay, so how do you cope with that? I mean, is there anyone else in Basingstoke who has the same thing? Anyone else, or is it just you that is correct?
Well, I don't know. There may be other people who do that. We are certainly correct, and anybody who follows suit would also be correct, but I don't happen to know about them. But we don't, we're not obnoxious about it. We just say within our minds, no, it's not actually that hour. It's the hour that it should be. They're all going around thinking it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we said, well, no, it isn't. 1 o'clock.
So say you're all watching the same programme. I mean, you're probably not EastEnders. Are you an EastEnders fan, John?
Certainly not.
No. So say you watched EastEnders and it was on at 7. So you'd be telling people, I'm going to watch it at 7. And everyone else would go, well, hang on, I'm going to watch it at 8. But you'd be actually watching the same programme.
Well, that does sometimes happen, yes, so we have to clarify our position. But we're always, very amiable about it and non-confrontational. It's just a matter of informing people of our beliefs. We do occasionally get a raised eyebrow and that sort of thing, but people can raise their eyebrows at will. I don't take offence. So
if you're meeting somebody, say, and they say, well, let's meet at 8 o'clock, do you just go, okay? Or do you say, that's 7 o'clock for me?
It would depend on who they are, I think. If somebody already understood me, I think I'd be happy to say 7 o'clock for me. But if they don't know me very well, I would probably just bite my lip and say that internally. Yeah.
So essentially, you're doing exactly the same as everyone else is doing. You're just sort of calling it. You're not like getting up an hour before everyone else. You're just doing everything that everyone else does, but you're calling it an hour early in your head.
No, I'm calling it the correct time inside my head.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm not on a sort of evangelical crusade to change everybody's opinions on this. And what I realise, of course, if enough people did in fact believe in the correct time, then of course the authorities would have to follow suit, which is ridiculous. Just a bunch of MPs and the like and bureaucrats going around saying, "Oh, no, it's this time because it always has been since the First World War," or whatever it was. They'd have to bow to public opinion. But I realise that just one person, even though I'm on your hospital radio show, not going to change the world, or indeed this country.
No.
I'm not talking about the whole world here. But,
or
a lot of...
or Basingstoke.
Or Basingstoke. Or people in my road, either. Or pretty much anybody I know. Actually, I haven't even convinced my wife on this one. She goes along with it, but she doesn't. Yeah, she thinks it's a bit of a waste of time to think about, really.
Yes. But of course, what you don't get, here I am playing devil's advocate. What you don't get when you switch time, when you go back from British summertime, from GMT to British summertime and back, is at this time of the year you get an extra hour of sunlight in the morning. It's suddenly, we get an extra hour in the morning. You don't get that, do you, with your system?
Sorry, just having a glass of water there and thinking of my aunt. No, I suppose that's true. Yes. But does it matter? It's worth being correct, isn't it?
Right. I would have thought, you see, John, because you talk. Let me play devil's advocate again here. You thinking of your aunt and the wartime. Now, wasn't British summertime sort of instigated during the Second World War for farmers producing, all the stuff they had to produce for us to keep us going? Wouldn't that make you think of your aunt? I would have thought that would be a good thing when you put your clocks forward and back.
Well, yes, it does make me think of my aunt, that's true. But, I mean, in the Second World War, it was even worse. They put what they considered to be normal time forward, and then in the summer put it forward another hour.
Oh, right.
Double summertime.
Summertime.
It's doubly stupid. I mean, originally the idea, I can't remember the chap's name, but was to increment the movement of time across various weeks or months, 80 minutes at a time.
Oh,
Didn't
right.
catch on that one.
Okay.
Which, I mean, that would have been extremely absurd.
Yeah.
Just leave things alone. I don't see why you have to mess about with it. You can't change time. No, that's the thing. Nobody seems to understand.
Yeah.
Time waits for no man, no person. Let's not be sexist about it.
Yeah.
Time waits for no person, and we all know that. You can't mess about with it by moving a few hands around on a clock or a few digits. You don't change anything in reality, do you? It's all a complete... It's just make-believe, Mark, isn't it? It's just make-believe. Don't you think?
Well, I do, in a way. I mean, I suppose I think I just find it quite hard to be right in the same way that you are when everyone else is wrong. I think I'd probably end up having to just be wrong along with everyone else, but that's just me.
Well, even if everybody believes something different, and you're the only person who believes whatever it is, and you happen to be right, then you're still right, aren't you? You see?
True.
You're still right.
And
you may sometimes doubt your sanity, but if you have strength of character, you can sort of fight your way through that epistemic challenge and come out the other end thinking, I know I'm right, and I know that I know I'm right.
Wow.
And everybody else is wrong, and I know that they're wrong, and I know that they're wrong. And it's such a sort of invigorating feeling to come out the other side.
Well, John, that's amazing. I mean, I didn't expect the call to take us to this sort of place. I think that's a wonderful homily, if you like, almost to the listeners out there, to go forward in all your beliefs, even though you're the only person who believes it.
Oh, no, I wouldn't go that. It has to be right, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, it can't just be a belief.
Right.
I mean, there are unjustified beliefs that people have.
Like what?
It has to be a justified true belief, and if it's that, then I think yes, indeed, one should forge ahead in confidence.
Right. So, sort of flat earthers, you're not on their side then.
I'm not. No, I have heard there are some people sort of straggling around who still believe that the Earth is flat, but of course I look at the Earth from a scientific point of view, and I know that it's a sphere. Although actually it's not a perfect sphere.
No.
But I think that will be a conversation for another day.
It's an oblate spheroid, isn't it?
Is it? I think that's a very technical term there, Mark, that belongs to geometry.
Well, I thought you being a scientist and all, you'd appreciate that.
I do appreciate it, yes, but I would have to go back to the books to check whether that is actually the correct term.
Right, okay.
But I'm prepared to do that because I like to double check on things.
Yeah.
You see.
Okay. Well, look.
If I find that it is correct, I shall send you a text message congratulating you.
Thank you. Well,
that is, in fact, the absolutely correct definition.
That's lovely. Thank you, John. What if you find I've made a boo-boo and it's wrong?
I shall just as speedily inform you of that fact.
Right, thanks, John. Okay, so do you have a song for us, or something you'd like us to play on this special Halloween-themed show?
Yes, I would, but I'd like it to be about the theme I was talking about, if you wouldn't mind. Of course, it's to do with time.
Okay.
And it's sort of a protest song. Well, protest from my point of view, I don't think it's a protest song, it wasn't exactly best conceived, but the idea of you can't mess about with time, you have to have 24 hours in the day. Well, I thought, I'll have a song that sort of ironically states that by talking about 25 o'clock, which is a song by the Dukes of Stratosphere, which is another name for XTC.
Ah, okay. Is this a song you used to dance to as a young man?
No, it was a little bit in advance of that, but it's certainly a song that I would have danced to as a young man had I been a young man at the time to dance to it.
Right.
But time, you see? Time.
So it's almost like the metric thing of time, having 25 hours in a day and 100 minutes to an hour and etc. like that, I suppose. Would you approve of that?
Well, I suppose the scientist in me probably would, but I do bow to some extent to tradition.
Right. Oh, that's good. Good to hear. John, do you have anyone you'd like to give us a shout-out to for the song?
Molly. No, let's make it... No, it's Molly. No, Maud. No, I don't think Molly because she has her... Yeah, let's make it Molly because Maud... I had some words with Maud. I mean, nothing serious, but let's make it Molly. So shout out to Molly, please. No, actually, maybe because I have had a few words with wards. No, words with Maud. Let's make it Maud, but then I don't want to upset Maud. Can just make it both of them. Okay. And do either of those two ladies, if I can call them ladies, go along with your theory about time and not sticking to British summertime? Neither of them, no.
Right.
No.
Well, that's very good of you, John, to give a shout-out to both of them, even though they're wrong.
They are wrong. They're absolutely, yes, they're wrong about lots of things. I love them to bits, but they're wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll play this for you now. It's the Dukes of Stratosphere, 25 o'clock. Lovely to speak to you, John.
Indeed. Great to speak to you again, Mark. I've enjoyed it very much, and it's a wonderful show. Great to be on it, and enjoyed sharing all the information about time and water and the war and my art.
Lovely. Thanks, John. Speak to you next week.
Bye.
Darren's Valley's radio station.